God. Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, you got a little flash on your forearm.
I've heard you on stage. Come on now. Put it out there.
I lived in Hong Kong 10 years and I attended Hong Kong Baptist College where I studied acupuncture and acupressure. So I do have a minimal knowledge of Chinese medicine. And I had the opportunity to study with Grandmaster Lu Ping while I was living in Hong Kong, who introduced me to a lot of the Chinese.
My instructor, who was interested in Tai Chi as well, he began to study the different teas and different herbs. And through his teacher, Professor Ho Chi Kwan, who was the just grandmaster scholar in terms of martial arts and just everything. He just did more than one thing, a master of painting and calligraphy as well. I was exposed to the healing aspect. Now it's on.
There you go.
I was exposed to that part of it as well, and so we were concentrating on some of these different herbs and things for the sake of healing as well as for just the pleasure of the tea. But the concept of that internal art of Tai Chi and Bagua, Xing Yi, those were the things that we focused on because to be young and healthy and pliable, and then after a while you realize that the punching and kicking, that rigorous external movement, it'll break the body down. And as you get older,
Charles Logan, Sadukin Group, Moses Powell, Lil John Davis.
This question is directed towards Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef. I noticed in the film there was a large picture of Grandmaster Frank Ruiz in the background. Can you speak a little bit about your relationship with Frank Ruiz, with Grandmaster Frank Ruiz?
Yes, I met Sensei Ruiz at Grandmaster Peter Urban's in 1959, just before I went in the military. And he had just made black belt. And I went to study with Sensei Ruiz with the authorization from my teacher, Grandmaster Peter Urban, in 1967, after I came back from Vietnam. And I studied with Sensei Ruiz from 1967 to about 1973, maybe 1974, during the time when he founded the Nisei Goju system, which was one of the more powerful karate competitive styles on the East Coast.
Thank you much.
Yes, sir.
Next question. Yes, sir.
As an aspiring practitioner,
Please stand up and project so they all can hear you. Be on tape.
as an aspiring practitioner, I would like to know a reflection of your journeys from your beginnings to right now. What is one thing that you say that you've learned over the years?
Are we talking about the film industry or martial arts?
Both.
Pick one. Pick one, though.
Okay, I'll say the film industry.
Well, the film industry, it's quite an interesting question in that I never wanted to be in films. I met a man, his name was Alex Stevens. He was the president of the East Coast Stuntmen Association in 1965 when I was at the Eagle Ensemble Company. And he was the one that actually inspired me to go into the film business. I worked as a stuntman for about 25 years. I was the chairman of the Screen Actors Guild Stunt Safety Committee for 20 years.
say that again. Yeah, I want to brag about that. Yeah, getting involved in martial arts, then going to the films, and then becoming the chairman of what?
I was the chairman of the Screen Actors Guild Stunt and Safety Committee for 20 years.
Good.
I retired from the Screen Actors Guild in 2011, and I joined SAG in 1970. Worked in over 300 films over the years. It's quite interesting.
Thank you.
But you have to be prepared. You have to really be prepared if you're going to go into business, whether it's stunts or acting. You have to have training, and you have to take your art seriously. just like martial arts, you have to take acting or directing or producing, like Sensei here.
And I'll be remiss if I didn't acknowledge we have a guest in the room, Mike Woods, who came after you. You were in Hong Kong in the
70s to the 80s.
and later Mike Woods came and became part of the team with Donnie Yen.
Yes.
So Mike Woods, please stand up. Who has the next question? Yes.
This is just a general question. I know that today is MLK Day, and I guess, I think it was Dennis Brown spoke a little bit about MLK. I'm wondering, did the effects of potentially Malcolm X had, or the lack of influence that Malcolm X had on your own experience in potentially martial arts?
Well, I met Malcolm X with Grandmaster Moses Powell, maybe 1966. That was at a mosque in Harlem, and that's where Grandmaster Moses Powell was teaching the FOI, Field of Islam. It's a very interesting conversation in that I was a follower of Malcolm's words, and he was a fine example of a true patriot, you know, and he was a gentleman.
If I could jump in, because I know that during that period of time, there was three major movements. It was the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, and also the tradition and movement started by Maulana Ron Karenga and Amir Baraka. And your affiliation, I presume, Tayari, was with the Maulana Karenga's movement.
Well, you know, it's interesting when you talk about, we mentioned in the film, you know, that during that time,
Microphone,
in
please.
terms of Black history, the civil rights movement, and just the consciousness, the awareness that African Americans were having at that particular point. So, for me, as a martial artist and a fighter, while I understand the peaceful element that Dr. King talked about in the earlier parts of his movement, but remember, people don't really talk about the later part of Dr. King's speech, which is why they killed him, because of his position and how the Vietnam War was changing and things like that. That's the reason why Dr. King is dead, because of that growth and development that he had. Malcolm, on the other end, was right from the beginning. He said, if you put your hands on me, I'm going to send you to the cemetery. So for me, as that young, especially at that time, that young black man coming up, then of course I'm interested in defending myself. I'm doing martial arts, so come on, this is about self-defense. So this other pride and awareness is something that was extremely important. And then when you're talking about the Black Panther Party, so now you're talking about a group of people who, please remember, when you do the history of the Black Panther Party, you know, because I love when I get a chance to brag about this particular man, because he's been around for so many years, as you talk about it, but he's been a fighting champion, doing weapons as forms as well, in every category, competing nationally. When I go back to 1967 as a little kid in Chicago, watching him compete and fight there, he has been amongst, I mean, he talks about Dr. Powell, you know, but, and then, of course, Grandmaster Ronald Duncan, but Peter Urban and Frank Ruiz. I mean, and the list goes on with who he has been associated with and has always established himself in all the genres. I mean, it's really important. So, as humble as he may be, but you know, really, that's the man. He's done so much all around and has been a dynamic friend throughout all of them. He's always done that. So, you know, I get to know him. So, you know.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, sir.
The amazing thing is, speaking on the phone with him, he went back to school as an athlete. So at his age, he's back in school. That, to me, that's amazing, and that's what keeps you young.
Yeah, I started studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 8 months ago in Hawaii with Elsa Gracie. Very interesting training with the competition team. 20-year-old guys rolling for 45 minutes after a 3-hour class, 3 days a week.
Right here, yes, sir. Project loud.
Speaking referring to what, this is an amazing documentary.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
so much.
Like, I can't believe it's not in like movies, it needs to be.
But before you, where is it going to be shown?
It's going to be shown in 200 countries on PBS.
Yes.
Starting in February. 7 nights.
And we're going to show it again this Saturday at the Tropicana Hotel in Atlantic City
Grand Park.
with Sifu Alan Goldberg with his
Please stand up.
Action
Honors.
Magazine Hall of Honors, which is considered the Academy Awards in martial arts because people come from all over the world to be there at this particular event. He puts on the classic act. It's unbelievable.
But I wish I was more privy to. I don't know you guys, and I feel bad that I don't know you guys.
You know us now.
Now I know you now. I'm never going to forget you, and I'm going to learn more about you guys. But speaking to.
In 1974, when Chairman Mao Zedong had sent over the first Chinese wushu little boy at the time when he performed, I should say. Well, the Chinese Cultural Revolution helped to bring about this new change in development. And the traditional was, sort of pushed aside as they pushed this new.
About the generation from back in the days, also in hip hop. I mean, a lot of people say King Up Rock and they say, who's that, in the hip hop world because they know Jay-Z. But I kind of think they lost the element of the people who really built this foundation for the people in different countries or different cities.
Sure.
How do you feel as a martial artist that people don't know who you are? I mean, they only know Bruce Lee, everybody knows Bruce Lee, but there's others besides Bruce Lee that have contributed in the neighborhood to build this martial arts.
And before you take that question,
Sign the times.
this brother here, explain what everybody doesn't know. What is an uprock?
Well, Up Rock is a dance that we watched from the gang, and it looked like they were fighting, so we took it. Instead of fighting against each other, we made the gang started to dance against each other, and that's how they proved who was better than the other. So it kind of like took away the violence, and the dancing took over. I'm an old school DJ myself.
The history is something that's extremely important. They say if you don't know your history, then you're lost like a tree without roots. One of the things that's extremely important is that besides being this great martial artist, Grandmaster Van Cleef also is an author. And so his books are something that's extremely important. And the first one that I'm talking about right now is Black Heroes of the Martial Arts.
That's right.
And so now what's important about that is because what you're trying to do is make sure that people know who you are. For the folks who are saying, I don't know anything about you, never heard of you before. In the martial arts community, of course, there are the reputations that we enjoy. But we need to take that further. And history and having it in print gives a chance to talk about some of these other great masters and legends. We can talk about George Cofield and Thomas of Puppet. And you can go on and on with all of these men who contributed so much to the martial arts.
Similar to Survivor and Ultimate Fighter. 16 fighters every week, someone's eliminated. But it's $500,000 for first place. And this is a wonderful time for me to be involved in something that will really change the look of MMA.